It is happening again. It is happening again.
Diane, I'm holding in my hand a small box of chocolate bunnies.
She's dead, wrapped in plastic.
I've got good news. The mule wash is going to come back in style.
My name is Mike. His name is Bob.
This is a damn good podcast about Twin Peaks. Every week, we fans, watch an episode of Twin Peaks, build it up and tear it down. We try very hard to avoid anything but vague spoilers for future episodes, so you can rest easy. But you should probably watch the episode of the week before you listen. Anyway, join us in the Pacific Northwest for cherry pie, coffee, and murder.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Welcome to a damn good podcast about Twin Peaks. I'm Cooper, and tonight I have with me...
Hi, it's Miko.
And this is Ophelia.
And we are talking about Season 2, Episode 2, Coma. Simplest title ever.
Yes.
They got lazy on this one, I think.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Written by Harley Peyton, directed by David Lynch. I forgot we got a twofer.
Yeah.
And you know what was great about this episode? And I found this episode to be vastly superior from the return from the episode last week.
Yeah.
Mainly because while David Lynch was able to indulge a lot of his crazy, and did.
Oh, totally.
He didn't have enough time to be stupid with it.
Right.
And he didn't have enough time to recap all the stories again.
I think that is what made this a better episode. There was no need to do the lengthy, indulgent recaps of the previous episode. We got right down to it. And it's interesting. I wasn't thinking this was directed by Lynch, and I got about a quarter of the way through it, and I was like, this is Lynch. Or else someone is doing an amazing job of imitating his style. And then sure, I looked it up, and I'm like, it is. Because there's just this, the languid quality of some of the camera movements and the way we hold on to people. There's just things that you realize that he takes his time with that no one else does, especially on television.
Exactly. And an obsessiveness and an attention to background is also very Lynch. Like the barbershop quartet that wasn't singing. They were just hanging out humming.
Yes.
And smoking.
Smoking, yeah.
Smoking and humming. I'm no singer, but I don't believe those two things go together well.
No, they don't, unless you're trying to sound like, I don't know, maybe a death metal band might not have a problem with it.
Well, perhaps.
If that's your niche, is to sound like your vocal cords are ground meat.
Maybe that band is Rest in Pain.
Maybe that is Rest in Pain.
Yeah.
Rest in Pain. The barbershop quartet.
That would be hilarious. I'd go see that.
They can do versions of songs like from Metallica and Black Sabbath, but as a barbershop quartet.
Well, I think midway through they'd have to transition. They'd Sweet Adeline, and then get really heavy and dark.
Yeah. And then Raining Blood starts.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I like this. I think David Lynch would like it, and that's the important part.
Oh, totally.
And we get to hang out with Cooper and Albert, and again, Miguel Ferrer just dominates.
I just want to slap him.
But he's so good.
He's good, but he's frustratingly sarcastic. I had a high school friend who was just like him 24/7.
Oh,
he never stopped.
Well,
so when I see him, I'm just like, I want to strangle him. I just want to strangle him. Like it's like
it brings it all back, doesn't it?
Can you be serious for 1 second?
And I love that Cooper is telling Albert, who clearly doesn't care.
Oh, yeah, all over his face. I loved that. Just how irritated he is.
People.
Mm-hmm.
And when he talks about the things that have gone on. Coop wants to show Bob's picture to Ronette.
Yep.
And Albert wonders if anyone in this world has seen Bob.
Yes, that was great.
But my favorite part is when he's talking about the contents of Jacques' stomach.
Oh,
and it includes a license plate, a tricycle, and a small...
Yes, the Jaws reference.
And a goat.
And a goat.
And a wooden puppet.
A goat.
And then...
Name Pinocchio.
Coop's little smile when he says, "You're making a joke."
Yeah.
I love it. Because you see camaraderie here. You see he likes Albert. And Albert clearly likes him because then he shows concern. Like, how are you doing? You know, how is your wound?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. One usually asks.
When it's been, was it plugged 3 times?
Yes.
I believe. Yeah.
It's not very sensitive.
I never understood the term plugged. Because you're not really, you're opening a hole, you're not plugging a hole.
But you're filling it with lead.
No, that's not really what happened.
Okay, but no, plugged came from the gangster era. So these gentlemen in the gangster era were not so, let's say, sophisticated about what happens.
Be careful
to the
who you're
human
talking
body.
about.
Do you think a 1940s gangster is
going to be listening to this podcast?
Oh, yeah.
You down. Well, we are in Chicago.
I will have to put on my best Sean Connery brogue and tell him that he's mucking with a G.
You take him to the hospital. It's like you take him to the morgue. Yes.
Pull out a knife. They pull out a gun. Yeah. I love that movie.
I love that movie.
Let's talk more about this one.
Yes. I loved the interaction between Cooper and Albert in this entire first section, because I think you get that feeling that as sarcastic as Albert is, he's with someone that he can tolerate, and he but despite the sort of like eye rolling he does when he's getting the history of Buddhist tradition from Cooper, he's not attacking Coop. He's not making fun of him. And when he finally can't take it anymore, when he's as tolerant as he can be, he's like, okay, enough about the history of King Ho Ho Ho.
Tolerance threshold.
Right. But he's not as sort of nasty and biting as he is with the Country Bumpkins, as he is with Coop. So you can sort of tell he's got a little bit more respect for Coop. And that sort of, it's like Al gets tender in these scenes, looking after his friend, and I liked seeing that part of Albert. Made me love him even more.
Then I love him even more because he brings up
your
who,
favorite,
for whatever reason, is my favorite character on Twin Peaks.
Yes, I'm sure you got all excited when it happened. Did you clap like a toddler?
I got very excited. And I didn't think Windom Earle was mentioned so early in the season.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that it came up so early. So Windom Earle is Cooper's former partner. We don't know much about him, but we know that he escaped from a mental institution that he was in. And he talks about the escape after Cooper sort of tosses off that he retired.
Yeah.
So it's not that Cooper doesn't know he was in a mental institution. Cooper is choosing not to acknowledge that Windom Earle was in a mental institution, which I find an interesting character beat. It's like a bit of willful ignorance. And across the room, Chinese man watches Cooper.
The same man who was on the other line when Harry had picked up the phone.
So ominous.
Yes.
And then is promptly forgotten about for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
His 5 seconds on.
It's like Mike showing up with the shoes and the grin in the last episode. Here's a little bit of weird for you.
Yep.
And that's it.
That's it.
Think about this for a little while.
Think about this while we meet Mrs. Tremond and her grandson Pierre.
Yes.
I have a question.
Is Pierre David Lynch's son? Yes.
That wasn't the question, but wow. Okay. That answers it.
He looks exactly like him.
He's actually his son?
He's actually David Lynch's son.
See, I like the way they did
his name is Austin Jack Lynch.
Yeah. They did his makeup to kind of make him look a little aged. Like he had kind of like a smudged dirt on his face, but it was like positioned to look like age lines. Yeah, to look like age lines. And then he talked with the same cadence that Lynch talks when he's the agent or when he's whoever he does.
I mean, if you put him and Gordon Cole next to each other, they're like the same person.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's so great to see Frances Bay, who, if you're a Lynch fan at all, you've seen elsewhere. She was in Blue Velvet. She's been in any number of films, including one of my favorite horror movies, In the Mouth of Madness.
Oh, yes.
And she makes Donna tolerable.
Yes.
You know, I think...
Donna says, like,
I'm going to admit something here.
Sure, go ahead.
I think I've painted Donna with a little bit of the James brush.
Well,
I think because so many of Donna's scenes last season...
She is in love with him.
...were directly connected with James. And we get one of those tonight, but let's not talk about that yet.
Oh, we'll visit that painful
Donna
thing.
can be interesting. And you know what it took to remind me of that? Is watching Fire Walk with Me and seeing Moira Kelly's version of Donna.
Oh, that's interesting. That seeing someone else's take on it is that it is an interesting character. It's just every once in a while.
It takes it away from the irritation at Lara Flynn Boyle, from James just oozing negative charisma all over their storylines.
He's sucking the charisma out of the room.
He's like
charisma
a charisma
vampire.
Black hole. A charisma vampire.
Yes.
But let's talk about Pierre and Mrs. Tremond. Some things can happen just like this. I mean, you don't get more Lynch.
Yeah.
Best snap ever.
This. So, Mrs. Tremond, I mean, Frances Bay is creepy when she's not playing a creepy character.
Poor girl.
I think that's okay. I think that's what defined her film career, actually.
It's her niche.
I know, but sometimes actors don't want to be painted into a corner where they can only play one role.
True.
But they really
you know that he respects and loves you, and that's why you're in it. He thinks you're weird, but, like Jack Nance, but he also respects and loves you.
Yes.
I feel that coming from David Lynch, and I feel like Frances Bay would have felt that.
Do you think David Lynch also loves and respects James?
I think no, because James is not weird. James is planned.
Yeah,
James clearly doesn't interest David Lynch at all.
Right.
Okay.
If James was weird, he'd actually be interesting.
That's true.
A whole lot of nothing.
A whole lot of nothing.
He's about as exciting as cream corn. Actually, he's less exciting than cream corn because
Mrs. Tremond seemed terrified about the cream corn. And she specifically requested no cream corn. Do you see cream corn on that plate? And then it's gone.
Just
in
like that.
Pierre's hands. And then gone.
Yeah. And what a magic act to actually be able to keep cream corn in your hand.
Yeah.
So
to transport it across the room and keep it in your hand. And then her explanation is just that he's studying magic.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
At Hogwarts, perhaps. No, what's the name of the American School of Witchcraft and Wizardry?
I don't know.
They just released that this week.
Oh, they did? No. Yeah. But it is kind of funny the way she dismisses, the cream corn disappearing from the plate without any hand wave or scarf put over it or anything. Oh, he's studying magic.
Now, I'm going to be like the giant at this moment. In the future, we will talk about that cream corn.
Mm-hmm.
These things will not be untrue. We will talk about that cream corn because I have
issues.
Ideas.
Ideas. Okay.
So Mrs. Tremond is very cagey when asked about Laura Palmer. After being very dismissive of the magic, it's just magic, but then gets very cagey about Laura, but recommends Donna talk to Mr. Smith next door, who does not leave his house.
Yeah.
And they look very nervous, the both of them, as Donna knocks on the door, until in the voice of a child, David Lynch says, she seemed like a very nice girl.
Yeah.
I mean, he created a doppelganger of himself.
Oh, yeah. He was totally mini Lynch in that. Totally.
And it's so effective. And it loses some of its effect when we see him in Fire Walk with Me, and it's not David Lynch Jr. Donna slips a note under Mr. Smith's door and notices him peeking out ominously.
Ominously.
And you notice as soon as Donna leaves Mrs. Tremont's house, she gets dull again.
So it was only the aura of Mrs. Tremont?
Yeah, I think that child, first of all, had enough charisma for everybody around him.
Is that sort of like how when you have to work with people who are better than you are, so that you can work up?
Yeah, you work up to their level.
To their level, and as
the Keanu Reeves in the Devil's Advocate.
Mm.
Al Pacino does so much acting that Keanu Reeves has to act just to keep up.
Right.
He doesn't come close, but he acts more, I don't know that better, but more than ever before.
Which is saying a lot because he's the minimalist actor. Kind of like James.
Yeah. James is the Keanu Reeves.
I know Kung Fu.
But now, Keanu Reeves has been good. I have never seen
James.
He's so bad, I cannot remember the name of the actor.
That's saying something.
James Marshall. I have never seen James Marshall be good. Ever.
I can't even remember what else he's been in. So
Lynch didn't even give him a name other than his own. James is James.
Yes.
It's like, what do we call him? I don't know. Call him James. Who cares? He's not going to be
What's his real name?
The pilot.
What's his real name? Call him that.
Right. Then he won't forget it.
I mean, I can't go. Apparently, James Marshall was in A Few Good Men.
Oh, well.
Wow. What did he do? Did he walk across the screen?
I don't know.
And a film called Fake Ziti.
Oh, that sounds riveting. We must watch that right now.
It takes an hour, but it's delicious when it gets...
Oh, my goodness.
So let's go to Ronette.
Is it as effective as watching CD Bake?
Yes.
All that cheesy goodness.
Yeah.
So this scene in the hospital is... I mean, if I didn't know this was directed by David Lynch, this would be it. Cooper and Harry trying to get the stools to work.
And reading the instructions. Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
The best
I love it.
Instructions is stop. Read operating instructions beneath seat before using. Stand next to chair or stool. Do not remain seated.
I love it.
But seriously, like when they were wheeling him over, I thought, well, those are way too high. Are they going to sit on them? Then they both try to sit on them. Then they both try to fix them. Then they start reading the instructions. Then they start playing. I mean, like, this is David Lynch. This is Peaks.
It is.
Combine that with the terror at the end of the episode, that's it. That's the show.
It is an inordinate amount of time spent on two stools that are too high. But
Cooper is in obvious pain the entire time because he's having to bend at the waist.
Bend over, yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny how I love it, though. There's something about it that is compelling as Harry is reading the instructions, sort of squatted underneath, and they're fiddling with everything. And, you have to bring it up and then bring it down. And they sit, and then it's like, okay, well, let's go on with the scene.
And it's still too high, too, so it makes you even more uncomfortable.
Yeah. It also gave me time to really look at them, and I thought it was interesting how together Cooper is. But Harry looks like a mess. His shirt looks too big on him, and it's kind of the collar's kind of curled funny. And
Josie's missing, and he knows she's not shopping.
He doesn't believe Pete Well, I mean, I think Pete thinks she's shopping.
Oh, of course Pete does.
Because Pete's a trusting fellow.
Oh, yes. A trusting soul.
So here's where we get Ronette sees a random sketch and takes a while to focus on it.
I think that's actually supposed to be Leo.
Ronette sees a terrible sketch of Leo that doesn't look anything like Leo.
No.
Or looks like the Slender Man that Leo ate.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
I'm also not a fan of Leo.
Yeah,
None of us
I don't
are.
like him. Leo, Hank, James.
We'll talk about Hank.
Just wipe them out.
But when she freaks out at the Bob and that image of Bob coming into focus there,
I was not happy. Not a happy camper.
Well, we've been waiting for the moment at end of this episode.
Too much Bob.
And Ophelia is very upset by Bob.
Yes.
Like very upset.
Like my stomach wants to jump out of my body. Upset.
Oh yeah.
So she's a little freak out akin to Ronette's watching this here.
Yeah.
Wow. Just the
broke a lamp. The nurse.
Were you screaming train?
But did you notice after she breaks the light, there's almost what sounds like an animalistic roar?
Yes, I did. I'm like, what is happening in that room right now?
Yeah. And it may be akin to the roar that we hear in Bob's voice at the end of the last episode.
Oh, that's right.
Like an animal.
Yeah, where it's not. It's almost like an electronically processed thing too.
Kind of, yeah.
So yeah, it's very interesting and very unnerving.
Yeah.
Otherworldly.
Now, to go to some people who are not unnerving, but are interesting. Ben and
entertaining.
Oh, gosh.
Ben, we've got 2 ledgers and 1 smoked cheese pig.
Oh, my.
Which do we burn? And it's not going to be my pig. Did you notice Jerry has flakes of cheese around his mouth the entire scene?
Entire time.
I did not.
Like an upsetting amount of cheese.
I saw him nibbling on it, which I
mouth.
Thought was a little upsetting because he's like biting the butt of the pig.
He's playing with it with his knife and then nibbling on it.
I think that was what was the most disturbing, is the way he was nibbling on it.
I think Lynch likes nothing more than to make the horns eat.
Yeah. They are obsessed with food. And unusual food.
Bringing out the marshmallows at the end of the episode because they in the end of the scene because they have to burn something.
Yeah,
where are the hickory sticks?
The delivery that David Patrick Kelly uses for Ben, where are those hickory sticks?
It was like an infomercial.
Yeah, it was. Yes. This is the commercial for marshmallows.
Yes, Jet Puffed.
Yeah,
brought to you by Jet Puffed.
Brought to you by Ben and Jerry.
Oh, Jerry. Yeah. Well.
Because I mean, nothing goes better with smoked cheese pig than marshmallows.
Well, that's true.
Oh, gross.
So, I mean, obviously, the important part of this scene is not the cheese pig or the marshmallows.
But it's all I could pay attention to.
I know. Really, that's all I cared about.
And then socks.
The food is the 2 ledgers.
Yep.
One that Catherine faked that showed the mill turning a profit, and one where the mill is dying, which is the real ledger. And they can't decide which one to burn because either way it helps them, but in very different ways.
Right. And because they have all of these sort of loose ends that aren't tied up. We have people who are missing, and I mean, they really were thinking it out. It's like, well, if we knew where Josie was, we could do this. If we knew for sure that Catherine was dead or alive, we could do this. But it was sort of like, well, we're at an impasse because we have people we can't prove whether they're dead or alive yet. And it was really interesting the way they very intricately went over how each ledger could work or not work for them.
And the only thing they're 100% on is that they're not sure.
Yes.
David Patrick Kelly.
I love it.
He uses the pain, especially with his jewelry. Like, that is a fancy man.
Oh, yes. He always rocks the 90s neck pin like no other.
I mean, when it's hanging down in a later scene, and like it dangles, and it's like, I mean that's fancy. That's a fancy man, and those sunglasses he wears later.
Oh yeah, he's got it going on.
He does. Okay, so we get it. Andy's a little slow.
Poor. This was
But Andy can't quite get together Scotch tape.
No. Scotch tape is the enemy of Andy. His
and he's got the
nemesis.
biggest possible blob of Scotch tape and a loop stuck to his forehead.
Yes.
And so as much as I enjoy Slow Andy, I think David Lynch pushed it a roll of tape too far here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was painfully long. It was very Lynchian, but painfully long, especially for television.
And
it's
with the intercutting to the major watching him.
Yes. Yeah. This is when people don't just use this time to go to the bathroom or get a snack or get a drink. This is when people go, hey, let me see what's on another channel, because this is taking too long.
I feel like people were doing in droves here.
Oh, yeah. If at any time in this episode that was happening, I could totally see it happening while Slow Andy is having a wrestling match with a giant ball of tape pieces.
But we get the log lady.
We do.
And Norma's little passive-aggressive, hey, the next time you want to get rid of that pitch gum, could you use an ashtray and not spit it on the counter?
Yeah. She totally calls her out.
She did. Well, I mean, seriously, the size of the wad.
It was gross.
That was not the log lady's first time spitting her gum onto the wall.
Yeah. I don't know why she does it. It's like a funny little teenagery type of...
It's a David Lynch thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually do anything with the character. It doesn't actually fit. I imagine he just was like, you know what would be funny?
Right.
If you just stick your gum on the wall.
Yeah. And also, this is a woman that carries around a log that asks other people if they can hear it first, and if they can't,
she really doesn't need anything else to make her weird.
Quirks.
She's weird all by herself.
Yeah. At a certain point, you can you max out the quirks.
yes. Her weird meter is at 11.
Yes.
I do like the exchange a lot. You wear shiny objects on your chest. Are you proud? And then achievement is its own reward. Pride obscures it.
I loved that line. I was like, I need to quote this man. This is some deep shit here.
Well, Major Garland Briggs. He is a philosopher.
Oh yeah.
So the log has something to say to him, and because he doesn't hear it.
Yeah, I love how she goes, "Can you hear it?"
Yeah. And I don't introduce the log.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I love how Briggs is very polite about it.
He's game. Yeah. Like, the log lady's here. The log wants to tell me something. Well, I could just say, well, the log doesn't talk because it's a log, or I could see what it has to say.
Yeah, he's actually. I'm sorry. I can't hear it. He doesn't be like, it's a log. A log doesn't freaking talk. Yeah, he is. He kind of plays along with it, which is...
He doesn't raise his finger and ask Norma to give him another seat.
Right, exactly. He's a good man.
Can you please seat me away from the log lady?
Right. He gives her an opportunity to translate for it.
And the message is deliver the message. But the major understands that, which I like.
Yeah. He knows. It's an interesting moment. Because at first when you hear deliver the message, it was like, okay, it's kind of double speak here, but he understands it immediately.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, what's the message?
But rather than go to that, we go to Lucy, menaced by a very loud fly as Andy paces outside, Scotch tape still attached to his head.
Yes. It is the loudest bee I have ever heard.
I don't know if this was the case originally, but on the Blu-ray, it actually moves from the left channel to the right channel and back.
It does.
So
wow.
It moves through the soundscape. So I found that amusing.
So you feel like you were...
like she takes it out with a pencil.
She tries.
Which
I don't
is
think
absurd.
she gets it. Yeah. Well, you know.
It stops buzzing.
Like Mr. Miyagi.
She
Only
throws
she's
it.
Stabbing it.
And it stops.
Yeah.
I'm going to Disneyland.
So Andy comes in angry because the Tacoma Sperm Bank was looking for donors and he applied, but also because he likes whales.
Yes.
Which is beautiful, foolish Andy.
Yeah.
He's sterile, and he wants to know why and how Lucy is having a baby.
Yeah. This is like, it's sort of one of those, you know, needle scratch on the record moments when he says he's sterile. Because you're like, whoa. And
he thought that meant he didn't have to take a bath.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. He has these hilarious moments where he completely misunderstands basic English.
And he does just like with Albert yesterday. He does the "now you listen to me, Lucy." And she doesn't answer, not interested in this, just yanks the tape off his head.
Yes. Just pulls that thing right off.
Passing us to Hank.
Oh, Hank.
Whose domino is now a keychain. I mean, either he has a lot of dominoes. You know how it is when you tell someone like your favorite animal and all they do is get you like stuffed animals or statues. Maybe Hank at some point said, "I really like the 2 domino." And then everybody got him domino keychains and maybe a domino like bedspread. Some of them didn't pay attention and didn't get him the 2. That's why occasionally in season 1 he sucks on a different domino.
Yeah, it's become
a weak character trait.
Oh, it is. Yeah, and it's funny because now I have this image of sort of like the collection that has gone wild. Yeah, because everyone
is just domino everything.
Yeah,
Domino
exactly.
lamp, domino bedspread,
domino carpet,
domino pillows.
Yeah, domino slippers. Yeah, domino bugs.
Yeah, I like the idea of him in like Dale Cooper PJs.
I was thinking
they've
like
got dominoes all over them.
Yes,
onesie.
A domino onesie with a zipper and a flap on the butt.
Yeah,
totally.
Number 2 on the flap.
Oh my god!
Oh, that's a winner.
Totally, it's like but we need a
sound effect insert here.
Yeah.
So he's being ominous in the sheriff's office. So Truman seems to be his parole officer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be really easy for Truman to shove him back into jail for wandering into the sheriff's office, the actual inner office, when being told to wait outside? I imagine that is somehow criminal.
I don't know.
It could be trespassing. He is trespassing on government property. If he's not allowed to be in that room probably contains ongoing investigation materials that no common person should have access to.
At the very least, that room contains a tiny Macintosh computer in the corner.
And a very cute buck on the wall.
And
I was going to say Hank just could
here.
not, stop looking at because the buck stopped here.
And Cooper recognizes that they used to be friends, in a long time ago.
He never says friends. Oh, wait, no, he said that he was a bookhouse boy.
How long ago were you friends? And then, he used to be a bookhouse boy.
Yeah, he used to be a buckhouse boy.
One of the
bookhouse boy, sorry. Yeah.
I don't buy. I mean, if Hank is as good a bookhouse boy as he is a criminal,
yeah,
I don't believe he was one of the best.
Sometimes you don't have to be the best, you know.
Truman is whitewashing his memory of Hank, I think.
Well, it's like Hank just spends this entire time like way too amused with himself. So he probably thought he was a badass, bookhouse boy, but maybe he was actually like the one to be picked last. And
everyone's like, do I have to go with Hank, or let's leave before Hank gets here?
Right, and then the team that gets him, they're in the back, like behind his back, like doing the eye rolly, like.
Do you imagine the Bookhouse Boys playing dodgeball?
Yes.
Because that sounds like what you're picturing in your fantasy Bookhouse Boy fiction.
Or just when they were growing up as kids.
Yeah, it's sort of like that whole milieu of they're going out to do their kind of Hardy Boys thing, but they're picking teams, and Hank is just the one that is all like, yeah, I'm going to go, I'm going to help out. And they're trying to find ways to pass him off onto other people. And
so he's like the beaver. He's like, gee whiz, Sheriff. Well, he wouldn't have been Sheriff Truman back then.
Yeah. Gee whiz, Harry.
Gee whiz, Harry, can I come?
And there are people going, we had him last time. We're not taking him this time. He's yours this time.
Right. Your car. Make him keep the dominoes at home.
Right. What is up with the dominoes?
It's upsetting.
It is.
But then to quench the pain, we have the theater of Lucy transferring a phone call, which we haven't really gotten since last season.
It is a dance, isn't it?
It's a dance. But especially I'm going to transfer the call, not him. Just to reinforce that she is not going to somehow convert Ben into radio waves and send him through the wires into Sheriff Truman's office.
Teleporter.
Yeah, exactly. It's like just to be clear, I am transferring him via not actually transferring him.
Not actually him.
Not actually him.
Ben Horn gives the Father of the Year performance here when he's hey, Audrey was missing. I don't know, maybe 2 days.
At least 2 days.
It's like I thought I should totally tell you because you're supposed to do that.
Yeah,
it's like missing, I guess.
I'm supposed to care, right?
Yeah,
did I do good? Did I do good?
And then we get that great push-in on Cooper with this musical swell and commercial.
Yes.
When we come back from our commercial, David Patrick Kelly is flying an insurance policy into Ben's office. An unsigned insurance policy.
Yes. Disappointingly unsigned.
So this is a scene which really feels excessive with them.
I don't think it's really about them. Really.
It's not. And that's okay. Because when Leland comes in and sees the Bob Wanted poster, we get that intense Ray Wise furrowed brow.
Yeah. You're like, oh my God, he's going to go off. He's going to go off.
But Leland knew Bob from his grandfather's summer house on Pearl Lakes. He lived next door when Leland was a little boy.
Extra layer of creepy.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And I mean, Leland blew the deal with the Icelanders, so there's that.
Jerry, please kill Leland.
Yeah.
I think it's what's sort of adorable about Leland during this whole thing, especially during the conversation about who called you? Mr. Palmer called you. And Leland's like a proud little boy. Like
he's so happy that he took care of this.
Yeah, that was me. I totally did that. I totally called them.
It's like I got this. I got this, guys.
I got this.
Called the Icelanders, told them the whole thing's going to shit. But we got it. We're on top of it. I got this.
Yeah. As much as this is a little belabored to get this information across, it's hilarious. It's fun.
It's not so belabored as when, Jerry gets that line, am I dreaming? This feels like it's like, okay, we get it. The Horn brothers are quirky evil. We get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of evil, Leo has a bullet lodged in his spine.
Mm-hmm.
Had a bullet lodged in his spine.
They removed it.
But Dr. Hayward removes it and is showing Shelley. Or, I guess Shelley's keeping up appearances by going to visit Leo.
Well, she manages to even cry. So if she's keeping up appearances, she's...
Now I'm wondering, is she crying because she cares about Leo, or is she crying because, damn it, he was supposed to die?
I'm going to go with he was supposed to die.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I like her little musing that he's kind of in prison right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But of course, since soap opera, Leo's eyes flutter as they leave.
Yes. It's like, did he open his eyes?
That would be a great point for an organ sting. Like,
yes. And then go to commercial.
Yes.
Totally.
No, they didn't. We were just at commercial.
Yeah. But that was very much a going to commercial like moment where you push in, you see his eyes for that, and then out.
In the mirror, too. So it was a well shot thing there where we see it in the mirror, not on Leo himself.
I was trying to figure out why he had that gigantic round mirror next to his bed. Was it to see if he was like, did we try to see if he was breathing? What are we? It's a great way to get his face in the shot and also see all the tubes and everything coming out of him. But it seemed like
I don't know that I could justify that from a reality standpoint.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't quite work in a reality setting. Like it looked like a like a convention, like a TV, sort of cheat.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a cheat. There is no way that it makes sense that this big round mirror would be right there with, Shelley and Dr. Hayward on either side of it, and how he's perfectly, you get to see his face in the mirror and everything else. And it was sort of like a prop that really didn't need to be there. Why couldn't Leo just be lying on the bed and, we just get to see him in the 3-shot and then maybe do a reverse between the two of them looking down or something. But
well, I'm confident that David Lynch walked onto set, saw the mirror, and is like, "That's it."
Right. He just fell in love
saw
with
the deer head that fell down and said, "That's it."
That's it.
And he saw the guy who plays Bob hanging out.
Oh, this is interesting. I was sent a screen grab from episode 1 from the pilot when Sarah is freaking out, where you actually can see Bob in the mirror. So that story we were all told about how Bob came to be the killer on this show, how Frank Silva came to be cast in the show, is actually a shot from the show.
Yeah.
I never noticed that, and I have it. I'll send it to you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. That is tiny, though. Yeah.
It is tiny, yeah.
So we had a listener send that to us, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you. That is awesome.
I never actually noticed that. I was always looking in other scenes for it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the earlier, years ago, one of the suggestions was that shot of Bob crouching by the bed was the accident, that Frank Silva tried to hide behind the bed. And it's like, no, that was very intentionally a shot of this man. But isn't that a great thing? I'm going to put that in our show notes so people can see it.
That's cool.
An ominous call comes in to the sheriff's office and won't give Lucy the name.
Yep.
And
she has to hang up.
Yep, can't transfer it.
Who do you think that was? Do you think it's our ominous Chinese man?
Or it could be Audrey.
I was thinking it was the Asian man.
Yeah.
Because he has been making these phone calls.
Could be Windom Earle.
Oh.
I'm going to go with that. I want it to be Windom Earle.
Okay.
You want it to be Windom. Maybe it's the aliens.
Yeah, the aliens call
the
him
owl.
Cooper.
The owl.
Ooh.
So let's go to One-Eyed Jacks. Emery Battis is into something unusual.
This
was an intricate.
His toenails have been painted.
Yep. His arms are bound.
And he's blindfolded. Upside down. In pajamas.
Looks like.
While a woman who's almost a cowgirl.
Kind of a kinky cowgirl-ish look.
Kind of like, everybody else at One-Eyed Jack sort of has this high-end Mad Hatter Tea Party feel.
But it's mostly like really super feminine teddies.
Yeah.
That's what mostly, they're floral, they're ruffly.
This cowgirl feels like she wandered over from the strip club across the street from the studio.
She does not seem like at the same level as the rest of and plus she has was it pink or red dyed hair? Yeah. All the other girls have very natural brunette or blonde hair. She's definitely a different.
Yeah, I got.
That's what.
Clearly.
That's what I was thinking. I have to put that outfit on that he wants me to wear while I'm vacuuming.
Mm-hmm.
While she's vacuuming.
Yeah, the vacuum. That was
that lovely old Kirby vacuum.
And then Audrey takes over and comes in, and I love how she kicks out the first girl. He's like, "No, I'm doing this." And then kicks out the cowgirl and wraps the vacuum cable around Emery's neck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but not before he starts singing the Frosty the Snowman little ditty.
Right. Because she's there with the ice.
Yeah.
Is that you, Frosty? That's upsetting.
It is upsetting. There's a lot of weird
it's like
childhood
I'm
stuff.
Very kink friendly.
Singing.
But some of the kink on display on this show is actually upsetting.
Right. Yeah, it's not really that we want to yuck their yum. It's more of the long list of the variety of fetishes all at once is
There's
a little
a lot
hard
going
to.
on.
Very chaotic.
Well, and is it okay to yuck someone's yum if they're a sociopathic? What do you call someone who's basically sending women
Pimp?
to? No. Like a drug runner, but
human trafficker.
Human trafficker. Can we yuck the human trafficker's yum?
I think that's allowed at that point.
I think in this case we can be disturbed by his particular brand.
Yeah.
So we find out a lot of stuff. I like that, by his brand. His brand of kink. We find out a lot here. That we get confirmation that Ben owns One-Eyed Jacks. Mm-hmm. I think Audrey just didn't want to believe it the first time she found that out.
Yeah, I was like, don't you already know this? But, sometimes you got to get slapped in the face with it.
Yeah. Or, hung upside down and vacuumed.
Yes.
That Emery ran girls through the perfume counter. We also already knew that. Yep. This may be a little bit of recap. But the recap in this episode is handled much better, like the Ben and Jerry burning the ledgers thing, because they are telling us things we already knew.
Yeah.
But they're telling it to us in a creative way.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben knew that Laura worked there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like Audrey, who is not insane, she's Audrey Horne and gets what she wants, Laura always got her way, just like you.
Yeah, that was
so
creepy.
That does one of those implication things. There's so many levels of disturbing that are sort of just buried underneath the surface on this show. The idea that Ben was into Laura because she was like his daughter.
It does. It makes your skin kind of crawl. Yeah.
Speaking of things that make my skin crawl,
I was going to say it segues well into
Let's talk about Shelley and the Bobber. First, listening to one Angelo Badalamenti radio station,
Yes.
And
the
Shelley,
jazz.
the WNUA, 95.5 here in Chicago, the Love Notes channel. And I pulled out Love Notes. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Then has him change it to like Roadhouse Chic, Angelo Badalamenti radio station.
Yeah.
The sort of driving beat thing. And then they both upsettingly dance to it.
Right. Yeah, so the blues rock stylings of Badalamenti. Sort of like a Stevie Ray Vaughan vibe he's got going on there.
So here's where this is the plan. I don't care. Shelley and Bobby are going to use Leo as a nest egg cash cow, because if he comes home and she doesn't testify against him, though he has a lot of other things he's been accused of, so I don't know why it would matter, he gets money from disability.
Yeah, see, I don't understand the legality here. If he's a suspect, he would stay in police custody and would be in a hospital under police custody. He may not need 24-hour surveillance, but he would not be allowed to go home. That's not a thing, because Shelley, should he recover, and Dr.
Doc
Hayward mentioned that was a possibility. They were going to do whatever they could for him.
Yeah.
They would want him immediately imprisoned and questioned. They wouldn't want him at home where he's possible flight risk, where he's got, allies.
Where he might kill Shelley.
Or that. I mean, I'm sure that's not what they're thinking, because they didn't know about his behavior. Shelley hasn't told anybody.
They know Leo took Shelley to the mill, tied her up, and set the mill on fire.
Okay, that's true. Yeah.
So even if they don't know he's an abusive asshole, he still tied her up and set the mill on fire. And unlike Emery Battis, I assume that's not Shelley's kink.
Yes, exactly. Can't say that was consensual.
But then something that is consensual comes, because Shelley wants to get comfortable, despite the fact that they now have an empty house without a Leo.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
But
they got to get it on in the car.
Just so happened
to have his
father's bring
car.
Major Briggs Continental.
Yes. Lots of room.
There's plenty of room to just stretch out in the back.
Does it have does it have bucket seats in the front like they do now? Does it have one solid?
Well, I'm sure it's a bench. If it's
a bench.
One seat.
Yeah.
With that little armrest that goes up and down in the middle.
Yeah. All the more room for Shelley to eat him up.
Ew.
That was creepy when she goes, "I'm going to eat you up." I was like, oh.
Like, damn it, Machen Amick. You are too cute for this guy.
Yes. He totally grossed me out with that.
Well, I mean, we've already established that Shelley does have bad taste in men.
Yep.
As evidenced by, I don't know, her psychotic husband.
Right.
So Cooper sits on the bed in his PJs. We see the letter under the bed. They're reminding us again that there is a letter under the bed. Mm-hmm. But it's done in a nice, subtle way. We follow up the legs and see Cooper. He's talking to Diane.
He's got some nice slippers on, too.
He does. Well, that man, styling.
Yes.
Cooper's disturbed at Windom Earle's escape, as you would be. And I love how he talks about that Audrey's disappearance. He finds himself not paying attention to clues, but to the content of her smile.
Interesting.
This is the biggest missing piece of Twin Peaks. And I don't feel this is spoilers, but the intent was for Cooper and Audrey to have a relationship.
Yeah, you could see the little building blocks of it here and there.
Unfortunately, Kyle MacLachlan was dating Laura Flynn Boyle, who didn't want to be overshadowed, as she already was overshadowed.
Yes.
By Audrey.
Because she's Donna.
Fought for more risque plot points for her, and completely nixed the idea of Cooper and Audrey getting together. So what could have been an interesting, if slightly creepy.
Yeah, because she's, sort of a minor.
Well, isn't she 17?
That's true. I think she is.
I think she specifically mentioned
barely
to him
legal.
That she
was
barely
legal. Yeah.
There are, speaking of, kinks, there is a whole subset.
I know, there's a magazine.
Flesh World probably has a section.
I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
There is also a lot of interest in underage people on this show.
Yep.
Like, a lot.
Yeah, Ronette and Laura and, yeah. And a lot of those girls at One Eye Jacks don't look very... Yeah.
They cross the border. I don't know what the age of consent looks like in Canada. But I know there's a big deal of the fact that it is over the border.
Oh, yeah, so they constantly bring that up.
It's a jurisdictional nightmare, I think, is really the issue there.
In the wild west that is Canada.
Yes, the vastness.
There are no rules.
It's like international waters, really, Canada.
Exactly.
But Major Briggs visits with a message for Cooper. And he again mentions that he is not at liberty to divulge what he does. And this is another one of Don D. Davis's shining moments here when he talks about any bureaucracy that functions in secret inevitably leads to corruption.
Yes.
But he respects his field and his government and his title and his agency. And I like that he and Cooper share that respect.
14.
Seriously, the age of consent is 14 in Canada?
Not anymore. As of 2008, it was raised to 16.
Seriously, the age of consent is 16 in Canada?
But it was 14 up until 2008.
Well, wow. So I think we just learned...
I also saw Japan's is 13.
Doesn't surprise me.
No, not surprised.
Doesn't surprise me. But 14 in Canada up until... So while Twin Peaks was being made, you could
14.
Make a run for the border...
Oh, God.
And find some 14-year-olds, maybe up at One Eye Jacks. But the question is, what age do you have to be to have a work permit in Canada?
Do you need a work permit to work?
At One Eye Jacks? No, probably not. It is shady.
Yeah.
I feel like all of those dealings are under the table.
Yeah.
Well,
now
what I did there.
Dealings, I get what you did there.
Yeah. Under the table.
Cards, card tricks, poker. It's funnier when it's explained.
I know.
Yeah.
It's always funnier when it's explained.
I helped you even enhance it there. Did you like that? Let's talk more about the Major, though, and Cooper. One of the Major's many jobs is monitoring deep space radio signals.
He said deep space monitors, and my brain was like, what?
Like monitor lizards in space?
I was sort of like, it just seemed, because for some reason I'd forgotten about this part. I'm realizing that season 2 is a lot spottier in my memory than season 1 is.
Well, didn't you say last time that you haven't seen it maybe since it aired?
Yeah, I believe I've not seen season. I know I have not seen season 2 since it aired. I had only rewatched season 1, and it's also possible that I didn't see all the episodes because they changed the night that it was on.
Oh yeah, it was leapfrogging all over the place when people stopped watching because ABC's solution to nobody watching was to make it impossible to find out when it was on.
Oh yeah. Because I remember the season opener, but a lot of this episode, I was sort of like, I don't remember that. And then when he brought up this with the deep space monitors, I was like, oh, I'd totally forgotten about that. And how it has the gibberish, and I was like, I totally forgot that we also have that we're talking to aliens, or are we talking to aliens? This is
basically like the This right here could have served as a backdoor pilot to the X-Files.
Yep. Oh, I was totally thinking that. I was like, this is like a tip of that.
And then because we get row after row of gibberish, and this was right around the time Cooper was shot, we get the owls are not what they seem. And then the reason he brought it to Cooper was because later that morning he got Cooper. I love it. This is I am perplexed, like you were last week, Miko. I'm perplexed that the audience wasn't like, what is going on? I want to know more.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is I have to finish the rest of this whole show just so I figure out what that means.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, do you think, so like, you look at Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones is a show that's very much about, like medieval war and politics in season 1 until dragons are born. In the finale. Yeah. Spoilers on Game of Thrones season 1.
And if you haven't watched it by now, shame on you.
We should not hold your hand, listeners.
Exactly.
So do you think that a show that is predominantly based in reality, except for quirkiness, once it starts going off into other directions, do you think that's what caused them to... But at the same time, episode 2 has the little man talking backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is not unusual on this show at this point. We've still, we have like moments like that where we go to, to the Red Room.
Yeah.
And we see, all of that stuff. So it's not like we have been a normal soap opera throughout all of season 1. And then
a slight difference with the Red Room and the little man talking backwards. That can all be hand waved as
dream,
a hallucination or a dream.
Sure.
Whereas the general bringing this government data that's been collected is kind of, okay, this is the reality of the show we're watching right now. This is not a dream. This is not the giant coming in. This is not somebody laying in bed with their eyes closed having a hallucination. This is two people who are awake talking about something that is alien.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the difference to me. I see the Red Room as kind of a dream state,
a dream sequence.
Whereas you can be like, okay, so this is a show where people have really weird dreams that try to show them a thing that's going to happen in their real life. And a lot of people will swallow that because a lot of people believe dreams have meaning. Sorry, they don't.
Yeah.
But
dreams.
Or as Major Brigs says, it's cataloging the day's information.
They don't have extra personal meaning, but they do have psychological
You're not
meaning.
going to find the way to become rich in a dream.
No, you're not going to find external things in a dream.
No.
You only find internal things.
I suppose. Yes.
Yeah.
But
I guess the turning point then was cream corn and deep space monitors.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that people...
cream corn magic.
Yeah.
Cream corn magic. And
really, really violent finale last week.
Space.
No, honestly, if you're going to leave this show, you're going to leave it in the 11-minute opening where Senor Drool Cup wanders back and forth while Cooper's dying.
Laying on the floor.
I mean, that's... But I guess...
Or after Andy struggles with tape.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's the most unrealistic thing in the episode.
Exactly. As bumbling as Andy is.
Given it so much. I guess you only gave it the pilot and 7 episodes.
Not 22 like others.
And I looked it up. Apparently it ran till May, and then there was summer, and then it came back. So there wasn't as big a gap as we thought. There was just the summer gap.
Yeah.
But it seems so odd to me that over the course of the summer, people forgot what they liked about Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And
remembered enough, though, to show up for the season opener.
Yeah.
But something in there made them go, oh, that's it, I'm out. Because,
hands up, I'm out.
Oh, totally. Yeah, just exactly. That's it.
I mean, if I'm abandoning this show on this episode, it is for having to hear James, Donna, and Maddy record the cloying love ballad, Just You. I mean, not since Rich Hall Jr. in Ega, or perhaps Sam Smith in the Spectre theme song, has any falsetto upset me so much.
He sounded to me like a really... it made me think of Riff Raff, the way Riff Raff sings. Especially in there's a light over it when he goes, the darkness.
Yeah. Over at the front. Except that's a good song, and we enjoy Riff Raff singing.
Oh, he sounds wonderful in it, but it was like someone trying to do that in karaoke and doing it badly. That's what it sounded like. It was this odd, bad falsetto, and I was like, why does he sing that way?
I mean, why is he singing? Why are they a band?
Why are they all singing?
What is going on?
Yeah.
And they look so forlorn on the floor. You know what? I would love to be able to do.
Drunk.
Yeah, I would love to see when the viewership drops off per minute on the show.
The specific episode by episode, like the dial people turn during presidential debates, where it's like, okay, I agree, I disagree strongly.
Yeah, I can bet you dollars to donuts it plummets right as James and his odd backup singers.
Just you. And that's better. I sang better.
Yeah, it is. You can't even sing that bad.
Sing as badly. No, man.
Yeah. I was like, why is he singing so high and so badly?
They force us through this scene to get Maddy alone on the floor of the living room for the most terrifying thing ever put on television.
Yes, we had to go through this painful moment of James and Maddy making eyes at each other.
I saw the back of the couch and had to close my eyes. Yeah. And the whole time my eyes are closed, I can still see it happening because it's in my brain forever. You cannot unsee it.
So we see Bob come around the corner. Yeah. I mean, we have that great Twin Peaks Lynchian rumble going on.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob comes around the corner of the living room, and we don't know if he's there or not. Maddy's got that wide-eyed terror that Cheryl Lee does over the top very well. And then Bob proceeds to crawl over the furniture right up to the camera.
Yeah, super freaky obstacle course from hell. I think the brilliance of his performance is, how does he make that so goddamn scary?
He doesn't move his head.
Yeah.
He's moving like a predator. His head is always like eyes direct on us.
Yep.
And even as he climbs over the furniture, nothing is moving. He's not paying attention to it. He's just coming.
Yeah.
And I guess it's got to be just relentless progress of the thing that scares you.
Like when you see a cheetah running across the...
Yeah. Because I felt so...
The head is steady the whole time, but the legs are moving
fast. Yeah. It is so uncomfortable to watch his progression toward you. And then to come that close and the hand on the chair that's right there in the floor.
He pushes books or something on the table out of the way.
Yeah. And he comes right at you.
Right at you.
Yeah. It was like I was pressed back into the couch. Felt like he was going to come out at me. And I've seen this before. Because I remembered this scene.
Couldn't get her because she had her eyes covered.
Yep. Yeah.
So it was okay.
Mm-hmm. It was still happening in my brain, though. I still saw it happening.
He's already in there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's already in there.
Thanks for that.
And,
thank you.
In case that wasn't scary enough, we get this little dream of Cooper's, which is really effective here, where he thinks of the giant. There are the owls.
Mm-hmm.
Bob is out of focus coming toward the camera in that. I'm sure it was shot backward.
Bed. It looks like it was the end of the bed.
No, they did that too.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
But Bob, there's that shot where Frank Silva is against Black, and he's just walking toward the camera, and he's doing that grin like sort of laugh thing, the way Frank Silva moves his mouth is unsettling.
Yes. The superimposed owl on his face, though.
Bob crouching by the bed becoming the owl.
Oh, that was,
but still Bob. Mm-hmm. It's like one of those cheap 90s effects that shouldn't be as unsettling as it is.
But it is.
But it is. And we have that Sarah calling for Laura again in that horrible low pitch.
Yeah, and then I thought that was interesting when Sarah was running down the stairs.
The fan.
Yeah.
Very creepy.
Yeah. Very
woken by a call from Audrey, wondering why he's not there.
Yes.
And then Cooper tries to dad her by saying, "I want you home right now."
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love it when he takes that authoritative tone, like when he becomes the agent. Yeah. I don't know. Does something for me.
And Audrey lets slip that she saw him in his tuxedo, but doesn't tell him where she is. Audrey did not think this phone call through.
She's all over the place.
Trouble. I'm at Blackie's. Come and get me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Done.
There you go. I mean,
end of story.
Really?
Why did she talk about all this other stuff? Like she rambled.
Well, I think it may have been the fumes from all the glycerin that had been applied to her face as tears, because, I mean, Jimmy Swaggart did not cry such vivid tears.
It's the glycerin on her face, the tightness of her sweater, because she got all dressed up again to go.
Yeah. It was, I got to say, I appreciate that.
You like the
tight sweater. Cheryl and Fenn, man. And, okay, I got to give, I talk about Cheryl and Fenn, I talk about Machen Amick, but Laura Flynn Boyle looked beautiful in this entire episode. Yeah. As she's making stupid moony eyes at James, looked gorgeous. Did not look drugged like Maddy.
Yeah, Maddy did look like she was out of it.
Cheryl, like moments from falling over, I think.
Yeah, they abandoned the sort of, bad girl, it's the end of Grease outfit looking thing from the previous episode, and they sort of settled on something finally with her that wasn't the frumpy season 1 Donna, but
she did wear that gigantic cable knit sweater at the end. The orange cable knit.
And that was an odd choice.
But looked great.
Yeah, it wasn't paired with like a really long skirt.
I'm just objectifying Donna. Dale Cooper also looked great in this episode.
He looked fantastic this whole episode.
James still looked like a doughy, sort of wannabe James Dean who can't figure out where he's at half the time.
Or sing like a normal human being.
Or sing like a normal fucking human being. Let's go back to the end there. So Audrey wants to come home. She's going to come home.
Click.
Oh. Didn't see it coming that Emery Bettis would go and tell Blackie. I mean, Audrey is not maybe emotionally mature enough to date Dale Cooper.
Maybe not. If she can't figure this out.
Put in Canada, live happily ever after because of age of consent. Not emotionally mature enough. And Blackie says she doesn't know what trouble is. Not in a long shot.
Yeah. And calls her Ms. Horn.
Ms. Horn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Blackie didn't know it was Audrey.
Yeah. I found that kind of odd.
She pretended like she didn't.
Did she last season?
Maybe. But she never lets on. She never lets on. The character
Emery
never lets us
know that Audrey was there.
No.
Because she stole the unicorn and went.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Emery didn't actually know that Audrey was there.
So Blackie may not have known.
It's possible,
Audrey.
right? Yeah.
Okay.
She played.
She wouldn't have let Ben in the room with his daughter.
No. And the way she delivers this line at the end.
You know what I'd really like?
Yeah. Oh.
It looks a lot like my daughter. If it is my daughter.
And Blackie's also struck on heroin, so even if she knew what Audrey's supposed to look like, she may not have connected the dots.
Yeah.
But that's our credits. Not by a long shot. Doom. Really good episode.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's what was astounding to me as I was watching it, having seen what the numbers are for these episodes. I'm like, yeah, again, there are like sort of funny moments where you're like, okay, maybe this is when people tuned out. But all in all, I thought they set up things nicely and it was interesting. And the stuff in between the weird, off-kilter stuff was good. So I don't know, what did it for America, but I really enjoyed this episode.
I like the way you put that. What does it for you, America?
What does it for you, America? Really?
The best Bob Saget there.
What do we have to do for you to make you happy?
More hits to the groin.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
Well, I mean,
Dad gets
this
in
was
the
the era of Full House, Family Matters,
America's Funniest Home
Videos.
Yeah.
I mean, the television was not wow, it's basically movies.
No.
We were still doing 3-camera setup for sitcom and yeah.
Laughter.
They weren't ready for this. It was ahead of its time.
So, Miko, where can they find more of you online?
Oh, I'm all over the place. You can find me at Miko@technogeisha.com. You can find me on Facebook as Miko Technogeisha. You can find me on Twitter as at Technogeisha.
And if people are interested in the history of sex,
yes, please come find me at sexualhistorytour.com, where every week you get to learn a little bit more about the history of sex. And you can also sign up for the newsletter, and you get a little bit extra in the newsletter.
A little extra to the newsletter? Oh, yeah.
A little extra something there.
Ophelia, where can they find more of you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Ophelia Tesla. You can find me on Facebook at Ophelia Tesla, or email me at opheliatesla@gmail.com.
And you can find me at coopersbeckett.com, at coopersbeckett on Twitter, and really most social networks. If you type Cooper S. Beckett, that's me. It does get a little racy, though, so like the Sexual History Tour, just be aware of what you're going in for.
Exactly. When you go outside of the TV stuff with Cooper and I, when we get into these swing set stuff.
You can hang out with us over here in the Twin Peaks zone or the Hannibal zone. But if you wander too far, just be aware. I'm not going to tell you not to go off the path. I'm just going to tell you that there might be wolves in the...
There be dragons.
There be dragons.
Yes. And you can find our show online at swingset.fm, which houses other shows like this, as well as a veritable cornucopia of sex and geekery podcasts. You can find us on Twitter at damngoodpodcast. You can email us at contact@damngoodpodcast.com. Another thanks to listener Nick, who sent us the picture with Sarah Palmer and Bob in the background. Please, if you noticed anything in this episode that we missed, feel free to contact us. And we'll be back in 2 weeks with episode 3. Unfortunately not directed by David Lynch. And he beats a speedy exit from this series for a while.
Yeah.
But it's still good. Still good.
It's happening again.
At least until, let's say, episode 11.
Well, we have a long way to go till then.
We do. Yeah, I shouldn't feel the pain of mid-season 2.
No, don't get there too soon.
Yeah.
Feel the joy for as long as you can.
Yeah. So until next week, the owls are not what they seem. Welcome to a damn good podcast about Twin Peaks, where we talk about... Do I do that at the beginning of the show? No, that's in the introduction.
No.
Welcome
that might be the other show.
Yes, the Hannibal show.
Yes.
Hey, this is Dan Savage from the Savage Lovecast and Savage Love, and you're listening to a Swing Set podcast at Swing Set FM.
Cooper's first novel is already receiving acclaim, and you can pick it up today, direct from the author at alifelessmonogamous.com, as a signed paperback, DRM-free ebook, or audiobook, read by Cooper himself and me, Kat Stark. Use promo code SWINGSET at checkout to save 10%.